What's up, poker players? Hope you guys are out there stacking cash. We got the final table in the last video, and now we're gonna look at the cash games that I was playing on the side. A little bit over 1,000 hands, really great win rate, and up about $105 in this session. Let's jump into it. First hand we're looking at is Pocket Queens. Out of the small blind, we are at a 50 NL table. We get a limp from Under the Gun +2. This is a very loose player with a 98% VPIP and a 38% raise. Hasn't shown down very well, but he is very deep stacked, and so are we. We are both sitting at over 150 big blinds right now. The button player isolates to $1.50, and I'm going to put in a 3-bet here with the Pocket Queens. This is kind of a re-isolation. I want to get in a hand with him, and this player might come along as well, but I'm mostly targeting this player, and we know that he's only folded one hand so far pre-flop, so there's a very good chance that he will call this bet no matter what cards he has. And he does make the call, and the button comes along as well. We are in a pot of 1850 before the flop. Flop is 2-tone, 2 8s, and a 4. There are 2 diamonds on the board, and I think our hand is going to be good here. Little do I know that the player that we were targeting just flopped a full house, but I do see that he folds 11% to flop bets. That is extremely low, and we're going to get value from almost the entirety of his range here. So I bet 879, it's half pot, and this player calls. The button gets out of the hand. There's now 3608 in the pot, and there is the third 8 on the turn, totally discounting his full house, but he still does have a full house. But our full house is much higher now, and his only out is the last 4 in the deck. I bet slightly less than half pot on the turn, and now this player decides to raise with his full house. You played this one a little backwards, bro. I'm getting it all in because I know the only hands that I lose to are Pocket Kings, Pocket Aces, and any hand with an 8 in it. And against this player's range, that is a very small percentage of his range. So I jam all in, and he makes the call, and we are in very good shape here. And the river is a king, and we are taking down a pot of over $157. What a turn. That one feels great. Next hand we're looking at is also Pocket Queens. We are at a 100 NL short table. Maximum buy-in is 50 big blinds. Not exactly my favorite game. I don't like the short tables, but I will get in it. Got a pretty solid table here, a lot of regulars on it, so maybe I shouldn't have been playing this game, but what the hell. I open raise to 3x Under the Gun, and we get a call from Under the Gun +1. What do we know about trying to hide your aces pre-flop? Well, he probably did see my fold to 3-bet was relatively high, but he should realize that I'm opening a very tight range from Under the Gun, and that a lot of those hands I'm not going to be folding to a 3-bet, so he kind of made a mistake right there. He probably should have 3-bet, especially when you see that flop of a queen high, and we have top set. I lead out to a little bit more than half pot, $4, and he makes a call. The turn is the 3 of clubs, and I bet 982, a little bit smaller than 2/3 of the pot, setting ourselves up for a good river size here, and he makes the call. The river is another 10 pairing the board. We now have a full house, queens over 10s. The only hand we could possibly lose to is Pocket 10s, and I jam all in. I think a check here would have also been okay. If we check back, we get value from a lot of the draws that missed, which this is a pretty draw heavy board, but he has shown that he wants to be in this pot and has called literally every single bet so far. So the all-in isn't a bad play either, but when we do jam all in, it kind of limits what we're going to get called with. I didn't think Pocket Aces was going to be in his range right here because he didn't 3-bet pre-flop. I thought we were going to be up against something like Ace Queen, King Queen, or one of the draws that missed, but I thought there was a good chance a queen was going to be calling here. And when we jam all in, we are pretty much representing a missed draw and just trying to pick this pot up. And he makes the call with the Pocket Aces, and we take down a pot of $129. Now we have Ace Queen from Under the Gun. We have one player who posted in the cutoff. I open raise to $2 4x from under the gun, and we get called by the under the gun +2 player. Very high VPIP from this player. Pretty recreational numbers so far, only 47 hands on him, and the poster also calls in the cutoff, and 3 of us see the flop. Flop is queen high. We have top pair, top kicker, 675 in the pot. We know that the player who posted could have a very wide range right here, and I open bet to a little bit more than $4, about 2/3 of the pot, and we get called by the player who posted. Dr. Poker PhD 123. The turn is the 4 of diamonds. There's now 1531 in the pot. That 4 probably didn't help any hands, but again, this player could be playing a very wide range. I still doubt any 4 would be in his range, so I bet 727, which is a little bit less than half pot, and this player makes a call. There's now 2985 in the pot. He's got 3645 behind him. The flush got there. All the other draws missed. This is this player's first hand. We really don't know much about him. He's not quite a regular. He hasn't shown down well. He hasn't won a showdown yet, actually, and he's bet 50% on the river, which is really high. I decided to check back having that high river bet percentage, and he jams all in. To me, that looks like he either hit his flush or he's bluffing with a missed draw, and since he hasn't won a showdown yet, there's no way I'm going to get away from this hand. I'm surprised that he turned his queen 10. It pretty much turns it into a bluff right here. I mean, there's really no worse hands that would make this call. He has showdown value. He has some value. I don't know if it's all in value, but I think he turned this hand pretty much into a bluff. So I make the call, pick up that pot with a better kicker, and add 50 bucks to the account. Dr. Poker PhD 123, and you are felted. That was his first hand. Ouch. Now we have 910 on the button. We have a min raise from a loose player to our right, Ryan 94, 341 hands on this player. Probably pretty recreational. Very aggressive game. I'm okay with playing the suited connectors in position on this player. We see a flop of queen high, 2-tone, 2 diamonds. We have a straight draw with 2 undercards. There's 275 in the pot, and he bets half pot leading out. And again, this player is very aggressive, has bet 79% of flops. That's extremely high, and he's going to be betting a wide range here, and I think if we do hit a king or an 8 here, we're going to be good. So we're getting really good odds here on making this call and potentially felting this player and potentially getting this player all in if we were to hit our draw. So I do make the call, and there's the money card, the 8 of clubs. We've got the nuts. There's 537 in the pot, and he bets 255. We're going to put in a raise here, and we're going to try to figure out a bet sizing so that we can get this player all in on the river. So I make it 950. It's a pretty large raise, but this player hasn't folded much to raises pre and post flop, and if he has any part of this board, I think he's going to continue, and he does. There's now 2437 in the pot. That 10 kind of hurt us. The flush got there. We no longer have the nut straight. King 9 beats us, ace king beats us, but he checks back, and from a player who's bet 70% on rivers, I think we're going to be good. So I put in a bet of 1650, 2/3 of the pot, trying to suck as much value out as possible. I still want this player to call with king queen or ace queen if that's what he has. Maybe he's got queen jack, and I don't want to scare this player away knowing that there's one card from a straight there on the board. I probably would have jammed all in if this was like a deuce on the river. But then he comes back over the top, and it's only $11 for me to call here into a pot of 68.38. I'm going to be making this call with the straight. A lot of the times we're going to wind up splitting it. Maybe he hit his flush on the river and I lose to that. I do make the call. He had the flush. He got the runner flush. But hey, I got lucky on the turn with that card too. And we want this player to be chasing with those type of hands. Now we have pocket 10s in the cutoff. Under the gun raises to a $1.50 3x, and under the gun +1 min raises. This is that crazy loose player that we got in that big pot with earlier. You can tell that this hand was before that because my chip stack is not even close to the size it was during that hand earlier in the video. So I make the call. I know this player's 3-bet range is incredibly wide. I didn't think it was this wide. 2-4 suited under the gun +1. That is so wild. The big blind comes along, and the under the gun open raiser comes along as well. Flop is 9 high rainbow. We have a pair over the board. Goes check check to the 3-better pre-flop, and he bets 487, a little bit smaller than half pot. I'm making the call here, and I'm pretty much going to call down against this player if he's the only one who comes along. The two other players fold, and we're now heads up. There's 19.99 in the pot, and that turn is scary. The 9 of diamonds connects with any 9 that this player could have in his range, but we're pot committed here, and he jams all in. I think a 9 probably would have tried to suck as much value out as possible and wouldn't have jammed. 2-4 was like the least possible hand I thought I was going to see. Seriously. But again, we are pot committed, and I'm never going to be laying this hand down against this type of player. So I make the call, and we avoid another deuce on the river, and we take down that pot of over $66, and that is the second time we have taken this player's entire chip stack. Deuce 4 3-bet pre-flop under the gun +1. Man. Hit that subscribe button if you guys have not done that yet. Head down to the video description for all the links to America's Card Room, Hold'em Manager, where we're reviewing this session, and all the other poker products that I use. If you have not signed up for America's Card Room yet, use promo code DKPoker to receive a $1,000 match bonus, as well as 50 tournament bucks when you make your first deposit. Give this video a thumbs up if you like it. If you have any comments or questions, leave those down below. Be back with a new video very soon, but until then, I'll see you guys out on the virtual felt.